Welcome to the Good GMs Podcast. I'm E.E. Morris, and today's episode is Dr. Jameschuck, or How I Learned to Stop Prepping and Love the Bomb. And now, here's Chuck and James.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another wonderful episode of Good GMs Podcast. We are here today in the both cold and warm environments that we live in. I live up here in the cold north, toasty and warm, and way down south in Michigan.
Yeah, way down south.
Yes, is where my friend Charles is cooling his toes in a nice, refreshing winter day.
That's right.
Here we are. So, Chuck, how have you been?
I've been doing good. It's been busy at work, but that's fine. So
Yeah,
I look forward to my Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
nice. I don't know if we want to talk about what we do on Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
No. Oh,
No?
well, that. No, okay. No, that's different. I thought you meant work. No.
No, God, no. God, no.
No, God, no.
I am a car salesman by day.
No. Oh.
Ugh.
No. Tuesdays, we have been recording for your run of Mask of
Our?
Nyarlathotep. Yes. And then on Wednesday, I run for the Savage Sessions.
Mm-hmm. What game have you guys been playing?
Right now, Greg is running us through a Call of Cthulhu. I'm a terrible player. No, I'm a normal player. I don't remember.
Yeah, players, remember the rule here. It's players are the worst. No, I'm kidding. We love you.
My God. No, it's a really good modern day Call of Cthulhu.
Nice. Something
like Lost in the Lights, I believe that's what it's called. Good.
Ooh, yes.
It takes place in Vegas, and yeah, we've been having a good time with that.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
I just finished up my every once in a while Thursday game in real life with real people.
Oh my God!
I know, it's crazy. My friend, who I'd love to get on the show, actually, he's actually a really good game prepper, and part of the reason I've picked the topic for tonight. But my friend Rob has been running us through Kids on Bikes, and we just succeeded in finding Walter Stubbs, the Midnight Ramblers lost mine shaft vault full of money and
nice.
Yeah, so I was able to save my family from having to move to Oak Ridge. We can stay in Pine Hollow, which is where the cool kids live. But anyway, it was fun. It was a good game and a great session. And if Rob, you ever listen to this, thanks for running that, man.
Thanks for running through it, Rob.
Yeah. So tonight, as I mentioned, I'd like to discuss prepping and whether or not we like it or hate it, or what sort of tips or tricks we can share with our fellow good GMs out there in the world.
Yeah, let's get some talking going.
Yeah.
Whether it's between us, or if people listen to this and they decide we agree, we disagree, at least, we could get some conversation going about it.
Right.
Prepping.
Yeah. And I don't mean like your underground bunker and your food and your storage of guns. Like, I know you're from Michigan.
Yeah, that's a thing. It is. Hold on. I have to get my other notes.
That's right.
Anyway, no, prepping. It's I'm not good at it.
No,
I
think you are,
really
though.
not.
I've played many games with you, man, and I think you're much better at it than you're letting on here.
Ooh,
it depends on what you
I appreciate that. I'm going to take that.
Well, and let's be fair. Let's be fair. I guess it comes down to what do we think is important. So
Yes.
maybe we should. Now I have show notes, and I've already gone way off script, but it's probably better this way anyway. But maybe that's where we should start, is the idea of what prepping do you do and what prepping do you choose not to do. In the sense that, like, let's say perfect world, you don't have too much day job and family obligations. What kind of work do you put into your games? And I guess we got to distinguish between campaign prep, session prep, and like one-shot prep. Right.
Oh, yeah, my God. Oh, it's different when like you hear other podcasts, other people talking about it, and you're not in the hot seat.
Right? Like
now here I am.
Like
It's
they prepped before the session. With what they're
imagine
gonna say.
that.
Right?
For me, for campaigns, it is a lot of for God's sakes, read the material. For me,
That
because
feels directed. That feels directed. I'm going chapter by chapter. Masks of Nyarlathotep is a very big series of books, man. Get off my back.
That's a whole other beast right
Yeah,
there.
I know. Yeah, it's like, that's neat. I like this game I tried once called Call of Cthulhu. Maybe I will do the biggest, most like ambitious campaign ever written.
Yes,
Yeah,
right
that's
off
a
the
fun
bat.
way to dip your toes in, right?
Big time.
Just jump out of a helicopter into the Atlantic. That's how you learn to swim.
That's how we do this.
Mm-hmm.
For me, because I do better as a GM with a like pre-written material.
Okay.
One, because a lot of people they just have better ideas.
Right.
And there is literally now decades of written material begging to be played.
Right. Like you said, read the material is important.
Yes.
Because I keep hearing this, and I heard this again today. I was watching some YouTube channel about some GM who ran a live stream of what's it called, Pathfinder, and he got 5 players into a room, and the map that they provided was nowhere near big enough to actually do anything, and it was like the biggest slog that ever was recorded, and he's like, take your time, read the material, and then change the rules, change
if
the
necessary,
circumstances, right?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, because every time I have read a story, and that's how I always go into it first, is I read it, and I read it like a story, and if I find it interesting, then I'm like, cool, sweet, I'm gonna run. I would like to run this for other people, and then after that, because I'm gonna have to change it anyway, because it doesn't fit at all with the players. I mean, I've taken stories that are whole cloth from other settings and swapped them over to this other setting for whatever reason.
Yeah, well, like I did with the Blackguard story for Savage Worlds that I ran as a Vampire the Masquerade story.
So so when it comes to prepping, it always boils down, like you said earlier, what's important to you,
right?
Because what you think is important may not always even come up in a session.
Yeah.
And
it also depends on how you run your sessions too.
Yeah.
Like I've changed. I've got an anecdote I'll get into when it's my chance to tell a story, but I used to run a very episodic, very planned out railroad sort of system, and then realized that the game was more fun for me and my players when I just sort of said, okay, I know roughly what's going to happen tonight. I've got the big picture painted in the background.
Yes.
Like if you took a minute to look at my Kanka, World Anvil or whatever, like campaign organizer online of any of my campaigns that I've run, you'll go, holy crap, James, do you have time to do your day job? But when it comes to the day-to-day game, I'd rather just have an idea of what the players might do and then just let them do it.
Yeah.
Because I already have that back painted. I already have that I put the work in pre-campaign so that in the moment I'm able to say, so what are you guys going to do?
For a lot of my games, it's usually all virtual. I have only just recently started in real life.
Right.
Getting back to that. And I've learned that.
Thank you, COVID-19.
Right? There we go. Yeah, but my niece has been wanting to get into gaming. And so my sister and brother-in-law have been gracious enough to allow me to, run games, entertain them for a couple hours.
Yeah.
And I have learned that I've gotten very spoiled with online gaming. Because I don't put people like, oh, online gaming. What? I use Roll20, but there's a lot of materials on Roll20 that I could just recycle.
Right.
And it's just become click, drag. Here we go. Boom, done.
Yeah.
And when you go from that to in real life, and now you got to physically drag a bunch of stuff.
Well, that's it. Yeah, exactly.
So I've recently learned, oh my, that's fun. And a lot of my prep does come down to the Roll20, the online material.
Right.
Especially because, you and I both enjoy investigative games.
Yeah.
You and I both
You got to have the clues. You want to have something tangible. And I like both settings. Like I like both in-person gaming for like, I'm a very physically creative person. I have a 3D printer.
You make props.
And I make maps. I've learned to, and I think we should actually put that to another episode is what can we offer our listeners about how to prep physical, handouts and props. But moreover, let's talk about prepping the game in a sense that like not just the nitty gritty of the maps and the tokens. Let's talk about like the direction of the story and the characters that we have to bring into the game. Like, for example, I have been preparing. I can't do it. Hold on. What? I got my sentence. It's like I haven't bothered to clean the castle. You see, Teddy lost his job, and now there's a ghost haunting a bathroom. So I've been working on that transatlantic accent because I feel like at some point your characters are going to meet up with this other character that I want to have that sort of professional sound from the era where she's an educated woman, maybe learned how to speak properly at proper boarding schools. But like, that's the kind of prep that I like. Whereas I don't know if you guys are going to go there in tonight's game or if you guys are going to go there in 3 months.
Yeah.
But, I'd rather have that idea in my head. I'd rather write that out in advance. But my lesson learned, here's my quick story, keep it quick because you know how good I am at quick stories.
Right.
So I was running a game of Rippers for a group of my friends, an in-person game. And Rippers, for those who don't know, is a setting, a gaslight monster hunting setting for Savage Worlds. And I was running the game, and I had written 2 pages of paragraphs on what I expected was going to happen in that night's session because I was very episodic in a very railroady way. But my players, so the first paragraph was something that I was throwing out as a sort of hook for a future game. So one of my characters ran afoul of a witch, a Chinese woman who ran a opium den in the Limehouse district, and she decided to sick the other bad guys, the Irish mob at the time, who were running prostitution and gambling houses in the same area. And so she disguised herself to look like this character, this player character, and went in and burned down a gambling house and killed a bunch of people in a brothel. And then so now we know that these guys are after my player character. They were going to be sent off to some manor to do a murder mystery and try to recruit a new donor for the Rippers. Turns out that like they put some sort of like, and I can't remember what it was, some sort of thing on her pillow or whatever. Somehow it was like a tip that she was like, they were watching her. And it was going to stop there. And then when she came back from this trip to Northern England or whatever, there was going to be more of the story next session. Nope. First paragraph of a 2-page written thing was just this little hook. And goddamn, did I have to come up real quickly with every Irish name I could think of, because where were these guys? Where were, like, they decided they were going to follow those leads right off the bat. And they went to they investigated the burned down, gambling house, and they interviewed some of the surviving bang tails, and
so all that prep gone.
But one of the best games they ever played. They ended up having a social conflict in Hyde Park with the leader, and basically they made a deal with him that they were going to kill this witch. They were going to not work for them, but do this thing so that they would leave this one character alone, and that became the focus of the next couple sessions. And I'm like, you know what? Who cares? That was so much fun. Yeah, I had to do a bunch of like, quick running around and panting and hoping I could pull off something miraculous. And then as it turns out, they had way more fun than the boring, like, meeting the Earl of whatever. And
because good players can do that.
Yeah.
Good players can do that. Sometimes, new players can come in.
We're talking good GMs here though, man.
Right, like, exactly. Yeah. But a good GM is only as good as his players. I'm sorry.
That's a cop-out. But I don't disagree with you entirely. You can only do so much with bad players.
Exactly.
But
exactly.
I don't think it's hard and fast like that.
No. Well,
and we should have episodes about how to draw out those good players.
Exactly. And so that was good. That was awesome. You had that. The first game that you played with me, Lynched.
Yeah.
That's a one sheet from Pinnacle.
Yeah. Right? And it was how many sessions? It was so much
12.
fun.
12 episodes. Again, remember, for all dear listeners, Savage Sessions is only, like, when I record, it's only 2 hours. I try to keep it at 2 hours.
Oh, yeah.
And so that means, while I understand most written materials, like I say, this should take you a night, that always translates into, that typically means 3
sessions
to 6 hours.
Yeah.
If it's a quote-unquote night. So for me, whenever I'm reading material, it's always like, okay, when they say, well, this should take you 2 to 3 sessions, I'm going, oh shit, okay, that's going to take me several weeks.
Yeah.
Got it, no problem. But that helps with my pacing. That helps me with my prep. And so, but that was good because it's just a framework. And that's what I've learned, is that it's framework. When I was running as a high schooler, when I was running Vampire the Masquerade, that was all damn near improv. It was just, okay, I
It has
got a
to be.
basic idea. What are you guys doing? And then
It has to be, yeah.
roll. And then I would hold on to elements and half-ass build something here and there. And now that I'm actually trying to connect everything that I run, everything I
Mhm.
run in some way, shape, or form is connected to something else. I can't help myself. I
Right.
pay for it. I'm going to use it all. I have to.
Gotcha.
And so with my prep, that's what I'm looking at is, okay, I've got 2 hours. I'm trying to make a cohesive story. What do I got?
Right.
And then what are the players bringing? And then how do I smash that all together? Oh my God.
Well, that's the question, though.
Yeah.
That is the question, though. You
That's how to do it.
you just asked the question of how do I do
How
it?
do I do it?
But that's I guess what we need to get into. Like, so my background prep, the pre-campaign prep, is I have an idea of every NPC that they need to meet. I have an idea of every scene that they might go to,
Okay.
and sort of a description of that scene.
Okay.
And then where the clues are, and with the preps that, like, again, we're talking in this case investigative horror, or where the combats are, with the caveat that if they don't go the place I want them to go, a good GM knows how to throw those things, have like 3 or 4 different places where they might go to find those
Exactly.
things.
Yeah.
But that's the back stuff, right? So when I'm prepping a game, let's say a Wild West game, I'm going to have hours of like, what are the possible buildings in the town that they're in? What are the possible NPCs they might go to? And what are the possible bad guys that might conflict with their objectives? If I'm doing Vampire the Masquerade, Jason Irwin, who is my first GM love, like one of the best GMs I've ever played with, that dude knew at any minute of any night where the Justicars or where the Venture were every single, like, not maybe not every single vampire in the city of New Orleans, which is where we were set,
Nice.
but where most of the major NPCs were. So if we wandered into the Blue Light Club, oh, Christopher's there, or if we happened to go down into the, like Lafayette Street, we knew that we were going to run into some of the Malkavians or whatever, right? Like, he had that planned.
Yeah.
That's too much work for me.
Right.
Like, I would rather just know those guys. And when you say we're going to head down to Lafayette Street, I go, oh, who might be there? Who might be there? But at least I have them prepped.
Yeah.
So,
the list.
the
list.
Right.
I know you laugh a lot of times when NPCs, we run into a new NPC. And I will, for me, because it's easier for me, it takes some weight off of my shoulders. And that's another thing I've learned with the prep is that the more I can take off myself is the more I can give back.
Right.
And so a lot of the times when we run into an NPC, it's like, okay, great. There's the chick behind the counter who's the barista that's asking for some help. Hey, player A, I need a name. I bring the other players in to give me first name, last name. Give me a physical description. Give me a social description.
Yeah, and then you get players like me who are like 3 legs. She has a different accent with each sentence. Like,
well, and then as a good GM, that's where you learn to say no, but.
No, and this is the thing, right? So, and I think we should consider the fact that you and I are both really good at improvisation. We are both very good at rolling with it.
But the prep is necessary.
The prep is necessary.
Very
and
necessary.
I think that if I was talking to somebody who was like, I really want a GM, but I've never done it before and I'm not sure I'm confident with my improv skills, then yes, put together your, like, instead of it being a framework, put it together as a roadmap.
Yeah.
It's okay to run a railroad as long as your players are enjoying that. And what we mean by railroad is, okay, so you find a matchbook with the name of the club where the guy might be hiding. Okay, we're going to go to that club. Great. In that club, you meet 3 guys. I'm not going to bother explaining anything else. Like, these 3, and it's like, I can organize that in such a way that you don't need to feel like, oh man, how am I going to make this up as I go? Practice is the most important part. And the confidence comes from doing it.
Yeah.
So the first game you run might be like a lot of sorry guys. I'm really sorry guys. And it's okay. They always say, oh, don't say sorry. Don't let the audience know. These aren't your audience. These are your friends. These are your players.
Yes. Yes.
Like, and you're not doing your first session at a convention that people are paying for, right?
Right.
At least you shouldn't,
Yeah.
although I'm sure we've got stories,
Oh my
but
God.
like,
Yeah. In regards to prep, first time players wanting to become the GM, things like that, it's very rewarding, but there is the extra weight that gets dropped on you. That's why
Mhm.
I always tell them, I said, well, what system are you doing? Great. That's fantastic. I don't care. Pick something pre-written. Pick something small
right.
pre-written. And then base your time off of that.
Mhm.
When we go to Ann Arbor for Chaosium Con, I've done it for the last, well, since it first started. Was it 5 years now? Oof, wow. I run the Haunting, and I know a lot of people laugh at the Haunting, but for me, right now, where I'm at right now, the Haunting is one of the best Call of Cthulhu games that I've ever run
And that's
or
the
even
reason
read.
I got into Call of Cthulhu was my Rippers game. For
Yes.
Halloween, I decided to run the Haunting
Yeah.
just as a switch it up, and they loved it so much that we just said, okay, all right, Dracula, you win. We're
Right.
heading to the
Right.
1920s.
Deadlands Noir.
Yeah.
I've run the Haunting in Deadlands Noir just because the
Mhm.
story it's short, compact, but so easy to tack on extra things if you want to.
Yeah. You know what? I think we should put the pin in this idea that I have, but I
Mhm.
want to mention it on air. Is why don't we talk as well at some point about porting pre-written stories into
Yeah.
other systems, because and about the flavor of each system, because you and I have mentioned this, and I love the
Yeah.
grittiness of Call of Cthulhu. I also love the swinginess and
Right.
pulpiness of Savage Worlds, and I think it would be a lot of fun to try something like, Horror on the Orange Express, or to run Masks of Nyarlathotep
Using Savage Worlds. Yeah.
using Savage Worlds, but keep it pulpy and maybe shorten it in the terms of, like, we're not worried about the nitty gritty of the day to day. We're more thinking the big picture, like, okay, we know who the cult is. Now we just got to go there and hopefully we can kill them and have enough pennies to survive it, right?
Of
Like,
course, as one
I don't know,
does.
I don't know.
Yes. Yes.
But
Yes.
let's talk about that another session. But prepping, like, I think that some of the most important, if you're in person, have your
Yeah.
props pre-made, have them in a
Yes.
pile in the order you want them, because the last thing you want to do is be like, okay, so you meet the guy and he gives you the photograph, but hang on, guys, sorry, I know I put it here
Exactly.
somewhere,
Yes.
right? Like, you just want to be in character, going, well, I took this photograph late one night on the moors,
Yes.
like, that's what you want to do. Is the other thing about prepping is have a good understanding of how the story should
Mm-hmm.
begin, what they could find in any number of random places, but, like, with a good idea of those settings, those locations. If you have a combat, please to God, prep your maps, prep your characters, prep your like scenes, and we can talk about balance of combat, but more than anything, it's have that ready so you don't have to spend, like, and as much as I love the rolled out wet erase marker, grid, have that drawn in advance if you know you're going to be
Exactly.
having that conflict. Be prepared to draw one if the players are, like, picking a fight in a bar that you didn't prepare. But if you know that they're going to go up against the cult in the basement of the whatever,
Exactly.
store in Harlem, then
Yes,
have that map ready.
absolutely. For like I said, when it comes to maps, when it comes to NPCs during the
Mhm.
game, I don't use it myself because I'm still old fashioned and I still like pen and paper right next to me. I'll jot down stuff.
Right.
But when I'm running the game, I want to have that information right there.
Yeah.
Quick example, I've been running my friends for our Christmas episode, and I took a Rippers
Mhm.
game and I threw it into Deadlands, the Weird West, and because it
Okay.
was very much Big Trouble in Little China, and I was like, hell yeah, here we
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I kept on screwing up
Nice.
the names, and it confused my players. Who are you talking about?
Which one are you talking about? Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's like I was like, "Wait, what do you mean?" It's like, "Well, you've been saying this name." I'm like, "Oh, moron. Oh, hold on. No, I'm sorry. I meant this person.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
But
good."
we are human and we do make mistakes. We're
Right.
good GMs, not
Yes.
perfect GMs. And so
Eh.
Another tip that I don't practice as often as I should, but my friend Rob, who ran me through that Kids on Bikes game, is he had a bunch of you can go to the dollar store and buy these cue cards. They're like little
the index cards.
The index cards,
yes,
lined already, and they come sometimes in packs of different colors.
Yes,
he had in front of him, he had his space in front of him with his like books and like the charts that he needed, but all around him were these stacks with paper clips of index cards. And he obviously knew that, like, okay, he's like, oh, they're going to go do this. Hold on. And he grabs the stack and then lays those cards out in front of him. So he didn't need to flip through a bunch of big pieces of paper. He just had those ready. And I thought, oh, that's brilliant. That's great.
It is. Great
prep.
Great prep. But I've done it a couple of times. And it's a habit that you got to get into, but it can be very helpful because you have the information right there and it's just real quick. Swip. Okay, here we go. Bing. It could be a person. It could be a description. It could be, hey, this is it. It could be a clue.
Well, and you can stack them. And like that's the thing I liked is he obviously had a stack for like if they go down the Geodyne Industries route or if they go into the mine shafts or if they follow this map. So he had his stacks of like 4 or 5 or 6 cards, not too many, but they were just around him in a way he could just grab what he wanted. So that's a good, I mean, if I was to throw a tip, that's not my tip, but it's a good tip.
Yeah, it's a good one. There's so many online tools now too.
Oh yeah,
like a ton.
Kanka was one I talked about. There was another one that I used to use.
Obsidian Portal.
Okay. There's a lot of those that are fantastic. Yeah,
right. Yeah, I've heard people say OneNote. All these wonderful ideas that I've never dipped my toes into because I look at it and again I'm lazy, and it's like that sounds like homework.
Yeah, and you're a good GM, not a great GM. And that's the difference.
I'm okay GM. I like that. Let's lower the bar just a touch.
Let's change the name just so that we don't have to feel so obligated.
But yeah, there's all those tools there. There's a couple of guys at work. They play, D&D and stuff like that. But they use a lot of these online tools, and they'll have their laptop there, or they'll have their tablet there.
Right, and that's just as good as a bunch of pieces of paper, right? Like as far as I'm concerned, having that ready.
I'm just old, and I'm trapped in my ways.
It is what it is, and then we're all in our ways, and this is why we're sharing our sharing our wisdom.
I don't need no fangle computer.
I think this is a topic we could probably hit on again someday, and if we have listeners that want to ask us questions or throw bricks in our windows, whatever, please do.
Yeah, get a hold of us.
I think for now, I guess we should probably say, hey, thanks for listening. And if you have anything you want to tell us, go ahead. We have a Facebook. We have an Instagram so far. Find us. Yeah. Tell us how right we are. We definitely enjoy flattery, but we also enjoy conflict. So please add us, I think as they say, the young kids say.
That's right. Like, follow, and submit.
That's awesome. Have a good one, guys. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening. If you like or dislike what you heard, let us know. If you want to suggest an idea for an episode, ask the host a question, or just tell Chuck and James what you really think of them, join our communities at patreon.com/Good GMs Podcast, or find us on the usual social media platforms. For now, I'm E.E. Morris, and you're all good GMs. We are so grateful to all of our Patreon supporters at the good level: Carl Kiesler, Preston DuBose, Francis. You are all good GMs.